They built empires that shook the world, carved palaces from stone, wrote poetry that still stirs hearts across continents. Persia, land of kings, scholars, mystics. And yet, beneath all this splendor, beneath the layers of conquest, language, and faith, lies a mystery few dare to ask. Who were the Persians before Persia? Because here's the contradiction. Modern Iranians carry a genetic legacy older than their empires, older than their gods. Through the rise of Zoroastrian fire temples, the spread of Islam, the brutal sweep of Mongol hordes, one thing remained untouched: their blood. Deep genetic studies, cutting-edge genome-wide scans, reveal this astonishing truth. 70 to 90% of Iran's gene pool still traces back to Neolithic farmers. Farmers who sowed barley in the Zagros Mountains when Europe was still wild and forested. Not erased by Arab invaders, not replaced by Turkic rulers, not shattered by Mongol warlords. Instead preserved, hidden in the veins of modern Iranians, ordinary people walking Tehran streets today. Ancient whispers live on, a lineage so resilient, it outlived kingdoms, religions, even memory itself. And that raises a haunting question. Who are we really, if our DNA remembers what our history books forget? If you're fascinated by lost histories and ancient DNA mysteries, subscribe now for more untold stories. Because this is only the beginning. The deeper we dig, the stranger it gets. Where did this enduring lineage truly begin? That's the secret we're about to unearth. In the next chapter, beneath the jagged ridges of the Zagros Mountains, a secret slept, untouched for millennia. A place called Ganj-Dar, Valley of Treasures. Here, long before the Persian kings, long before the Silk Road, a people sowed the first seeds of civilization. Yet, they weren't the farmers you've heard about. Because history taught us, the first farmers of Europe came from Anatolia, moving westward, spreading crops and language. But beneath these Iranian stones, something different emerged. A forgotten lineage. 10,000 years ago, the people of Ganj-Dar were already growing barley, tending goats, crafting homes from mud brick. But when scientists sequenced their DNA, what they found shattered assumptions. These Zagros farmers shared no direct ancestry with Europe's early farmers. In fact, their genetic branch had split, not recently, but 50 to 77,000 years ago. Two ancient cousins, separated by deep time. One would move west, become the ancestors of Europe's first farmers. The other would remain rooted in Iran, becoming the forgotten architects of a parallel Neolithic world. A world that thrived in these mountains, far from the Fertile Crescent's western heart. Independent, resilient. And while Anatolia's farmers shaped Europe, these Zagros cultivators quietly birthed their own civilization. A lineage whose DNA still flows through Persian blood today, in ways no one expected. But that raises a haunting question. How did this ancient genetic signature, so old, so distinct, survive? Because soon, new waves of migration would sweep across the plateau. The mighty Bronze Age was coming, and with it, an unstoppable tide. By the dawn of the Bronze Age, the world was shifting. Across the vast grasslands of the Eurasian steppe, a storm was rising. Nomadic horsemen, warriors of the Yamnaya culture, were on the move. From the Black Sea to the Baltic, they swept across Europe, transforming the genetic landscape in their wake. Entire populations replaced, languages lost, a genetic revolution on horseback. But in Persia, something strange happened. The wave broke. While Europe absorbed up to 90% steppe ancestry, the Iranian plateau stood firm. When scientists cracked open the genomes of Bronze Age Persians, they found no such tidal wave. Instead, the ancient Neolithic blood of the Zagros farmers still coursed strong, blended with traces of Caucasus hunter-gatherers, but almost untouched by the steppe. And at one site, deep in the sands of Shar-I-Sokhta, another twist emerged. Burials revealed not steppe DNA, but an unexpected current from the south. South Asian gene flow, markers from the Indus Valley civilization. Traders, migrants, refugees, their bones whisper of ancient connections across deserts and mountains. But here's the paradox. As the steppe pastoralists remade half a continent, Persia remained an outlier, a genetic island in a sea of change. Why? Isolation, geography, sheer resilience? perhaps all three. But the story doesn't end there, because fate and blood have a strange way of circling back, and soon a lineage long vanished would return from the steppes themselves. Across the windswept steppes, north of the Caspian Sea, an ancient people rode beneath endless skies. The Yamnaya, nomads of the horse, masters of the wheel, the first to harness the raw power of the steppe. Their migrations would redraw the map of human ancestry, carrying Indo-European languages across half the known world. But here's the hidden twist. The Yamnaya were not purely of the north. Their DNA, half descended from the farmers of the Iranian plateau. 7,000 years ago, long before the Yamnaya rose, bands of Iranian farmers had ventured north. Their genes merged with the hunters of the steppe. From this fusion, the Yamnaya were born, and centuries later, the wheel would turn again. Now it was the Yamnaya's descendants, Indo-Iranian tribes, sweeping south. Riders in layered tunics, spears gleaming, horses thundering toward the Zagros. Their language, their myths, carried on the wind. But within them, hidden in their blood, was an ancient echo, a genetic memory of the very land they now approached. Because in a strange irony, these steppe warriors were returning, unknowingly, to their ancestral homeland, a land their forebears had left thousands of years before. Now the plateau stood ready, still strong in Neolithic roots, still carrying the ancient Zagros lineages. And as the Indo-Iranian migrations poured across Persia, two worlds prepared to meet, the nomad and the farmer, the returning blood and the blood that had never left. But when these newcomers met the old lineages, what truly happened? That story is about to unfold. They came with horses, with new gods, with words no one here had heard before. The Indo-Iranian tribes, descendants of the steppe, riding into Persia's mountains and valleys. And as their voices echoed through these ancient lands, something profound began to shift. The old tongues faded. A new language, Proto-Iranian, took root, spreading from highland fortresses to fertile plains. But here's the paradox. For decades, scholars believed such a linguistic transformation must have come with a wave of people, a mass migration, a genetic takeover. Yet when scientists traced the DNA, they found a stunning truth. Persian bloodlines remained overwhelmingly local. The ancient Neolithic signature, still dominant. Genetic maps laid bare the contradiction. Language boundaries didn't match ancestry. In the heart of Persia, Old Persian flourished, carried not by foreign blood, but by the descendants of Zagros farmers. A language born from conquest, yet spoken by the same ancient blood. How? Through power, through prestige. A new elite, adopting local wives, raising bilingual children, until Persian identity itself was reshaped, without replacing its people. Stone inscriptions in Old Persian now marked empire's reach. But beneath every carved cuneiform, beneath every royal edict, the veins of Persia still flowed with its oldest ancestry. A story not of erasure, but of transformation. And this was only the beginning, because Persia's land would soon absorb far greater tides. Shifts not just in language, but in faith, in empire, in culture. And with each a deeper question. How much can a people change and still remain themselves? They ruled from palaces of gold, inscribed their victories in stone, stretched their banners from the Aegean to the Indus. The Achaemenids, the Parthians, the Sasanians, empires that shaped the ancient world. And yet, beneath the layers of conquest, beneath the rise and fall of kings, an older story remained, one written not in stone, but in blood. When scientists sequenced genomes from Sassanid-era graves, the results defied expectation. The DNA of these imperial Persians, almost identical to the Bronze Age people who had walked these lands centuries before. No great genetic upheaval, no sweeping replacement, just continuity. The same ancient lineages, threading through time. And in the quiet rituals of life and death, that continuity endured. In the Zoroastrian fire temples, flames still danced to a faith born millennia ago. In burial rites, in kinship patterns, echoes of the Neolithic past persisted. Dynasties fell. Religions changed. Borders shifted like sand. But the people remained. Their bodies carried the memory of a land that had shaped them across unbroken generations. And yet, Across the desert horizon, a new force was gathering, one that would not simply conquer lands, but seek to transform souls. The armies of Islam were coming. Would they, at last, break this ancient chain? That was a question only the genes could answer. They swept across the sands with the words of a new prophet, banners of green unfurled, the armies of Islam pressing into Persia's ancient heart. City after city fell. Zoroastrian fire temples were dimmed, minarets rose in their place. A new faith, a new tongue, seemed to cover the land. And for centuries, historians assumed the people had changed as well. That Arab blood now ran deep through Persian veins. But when the genomes were finally read, the truth stunned even the scientists. Less than 7% of modern Iranian DNA could be traced to the Arabian Peninsula. 7. A ripple, not a wave. The bones beneath Persia's soil still spoke of older origins. Pre-Islamic roots still dominant. And even among Iranian Arabs today, their DNA aligns far more with fellow Persians than with the tribes of Arabia. A lineage shaped by land, not by conquerors. Faith and language shifted, but bloodlines endured. The spirit of the plateau, deeper than any banner, stronger than any creed. But amid this sea of continuity, there was one group, one community, that preserved something even older. Older than Islam, older than empire. A genetic window into Persia's most ancient past. And their story was just beginning to unfold. Amid the crowded streets of Yazd, beneath wind towers and sun-bleached walls, there burns a fire. An ancient flame, tended for centuries by those who never forgot. The Zoroastrians, keepers of the old faith, survivors of empire, of conquest, of time itself. But what they preserved runs deeper than belief. When modern scientists sequenced their DNA, they uncovered something extraordinary. The blood of these Zoroastrians carries one of the strongest links to Neolithic Zagros farmers ever recorded. A lineage stretching back over 10,000 years. Before Cyrus, before Darius, before empire had a name. How? Through an unbroken chain of endogamy, marrying within the community, generation after generation. A choice born of faith, now revealed in the genes. And when some of these Zoroastrians fled to India, seeking refuge from religious persecution, another miracle of continuity unfolded. The Parsis of India, descendants of these exiles, still carry this deep Persian signature. Their genomes, remarkably close to the ancient farmers of the Iranian plateau. A living time capsule, a genetic echo of a world long vanished, yet alive in the veins of modern men and women. But this is not the end of Persia's genetic odyssey, because beyond these ancient threads lie unexpected patterns. New connections, distant echoes, still waiting to be uncovered. For the land of Persia holds more twists than anyone imagined. From the bustling bazaars of Isfahan, to the windswept plains of Khorasan, to the turquoise shores of the Persian Gulf, Iran today is a land of many faces, many tongues. Turkic, Kurdish, Persian, Arab, Baloch, a mosaic of peoples, woven across mountains and deserts. But when geneticists peered beneath the surface, they found a deeper pattern, one that defied the patchwork of language and culture. At the heart of Iran, a hidden core, a genetic cluster, the Central Iranian cluster, binding Persians, Kurds, Laz, Mazandarani, even many Azeris. And here lies the twist. The Azeris, who speak a Turkic language, are, in their blood, closer to ancient Persians than to distant Turkic populations of Central Asia. A language shift without a genetic shift. Echoes of conquest absorbed, but not replacing. And farther south, the Baloch and Persian Gulf Islanders tell another story. Islands of ancient Persian ancestry, braided with threads from South Asia, and even the distant shores of Africa, carried by the winds of trade, by the currents of empire. Together, they form a living tapestry. Like an ancient Persian carpet, one pattern at the core, with vibrant, intricate threads at its edges. Each region, each people, a verse in an unbroken song of identity. But this raises a deeper question. Is Persia's story, this strange resilience, this layered continuity, truly unique? Or is it part of a greater Eurasian puzzle, still waiting to be solved? The winds that swept across Persia did not stop at her borders. For thousands of years, her people, her traders, her ideas, traveled farther than most could imagine. And now, the DNA reveals their footprints. In the bones of the ancient Harappans, deep in the Indus Valley, echoes of Iranian Neolithic farmers still whisper. An ancient bridge, spanning deserts, linking sister civilizations that once rose in parallel. Farther still, along the Swahili coast of East Africa, beneath coralstone cities, Persian DNA lies entwined with African and Arab lineages, carried not by conquest, but by trade, by sailors and merchants, whose journeys along the Indian Ocean left genetic traces in the children of distant shores. And in the hills of Tuscany, another surprise waits. Modern Tuscans share a genetic thread with Iranians, a remnant of migrations that once rippled from the Near East into Europe. A hidden kinship buried beneath languages, borders, time. Because the Persian genome is not a relic trapped in one land. It is a bridge between worlds, a web of ancient migrations, entwining continents. Our identity is not a straight line. It is a tapestry, woven across millennia. And beneath the soil of Persia, that tapestry runs deep. But here's the question. As new DNA studies unfold and forgotten layers come to light, what other ancestors still lie waiting beneath the Persian earth?